When I graduated from high school, I went in the Air Force, served with the Strategic Air Command, had a secret clearance, worked on B-52 bombers, KC-135 aircraft, and Minuteman missiles. During the Cuban crisis, I slept on the alert pad under the belly of a B-52 staring up at a hydrogen bomb. I was willing to die for my country. I was just a young man. There were a lot of us there, all volunteers. Then when I left the Air Force, I went into the Navy. I was willing to die for my country. Willing to die for freedom, for the Constitution, for the principles and ideals upon which this great nation was based. I went to Vietnam, thinking that I was fighting for my country and fighting for the Constitution for the United States of America, fighting for freedom. Boy, I learned a big lesson over there. Those people didn't think I was fighting for their freedom or mine either. They knew why I was there. And we were up against these little guys, barefoot most of the time. When they had shoes, they were usually a piece of worn-out tire tread strapped around their ankles. They had a little bag of rice on their belt, a few bullets, an AK-47. Sometimes they had a hat, sometimes they just had a rag tied around their forehead. They wore clothing that resembled pajamas, and they were black most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. But they were good fighters. You know why they were good fighters? You know why they were so hard to beat, ladies and gentlemen? We brought the military might and the technological developed weapons, the best in the world, against them. And they ran around in the woods, the jungle, with what I just described to you, very little else. And they were a formidable enemy. We did not beat them because they believed in what they were doing. They were fighting for freedom. We were not. We weren't fighting for freedom, folks. We weren't fighting for the Constitution. We weren't fighting for the United States of America. We were fighting for very powerful, big money interests. We were fighting for the oil in the South China Sea and in the Gulf of Tonkin. We were fighting for the control of the drugs in the Golden Triangle. That's what we were fighting for. We were fighting to gain what colonial or empirical France had lost. During World War II, Ho Chi Minh was actually fighting on our side. Ho Chi Minh just wanted his country to be free. He wanted the French out. He didn't want any colonists there. He wanted the United States of America to help him free Vietnam. North and South, the whole country. There was no North and South then, by the way. And we double-crossed him. We promised him we would. And we double-crossed him. So he went to the only people who didn't double-cross him, and that was the communists. And he became a communist. And he eventually defeated the French after we had double-crossed him and gave Vietnam back to the French. You see, we had promised him we would not do that he would have a free country. So he and his freedom fighters gave their blood for our side during World War II, thinking all the while that we were going to honor our commitment. And boy, how many people have we double-crossed in that manner throughout our history? Huh? You might want to go talk to some Native American Indians about that kind of thing. And a whole bunch of others. Our word as a nation hasn't meant much through the years. Well, I and a lot of other Vietnam veterans learned those lessons while we were over there. We brought those lessons back. And I and a lot of other men who finally grew up, who finally learned to use our own brain for something else besides a airspace filler between our ears. And we decided we're really going to fight for our country, we're really going to fight for freedom, and we're going to honor our oath to protect and defend the Constitution for the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's the oath I took when I enlisted in the Air Force, and that's the oath I took when I enlisted in the Navy. And that's what I thought I was fighting for in Vietnam.